Hey guys, Prowl 1701 here. We're going to be talking about some Doctor Who. I have my Season 7 set, and I'm going to be talking about Inferno from this Blu-ray box set, and how pleased I am that it looks better than ever. Now, most of you know, if you watch my channel a lot, I love Inferno. It's one of my favorite Doctor Who stories. It's my favorite Pertwee story. And the story, of course, is still phenomenal as always, perfectly balanced at 7 parts. I didn't even watch the omnibus version like I probably should have. I watched the full version. And I meant to just watch an episode, maybe 2, because I wanted to see what had been done to the location work. Because I knew Peter Crocker had said he had restored the location work from scratch. So I kind of wanted to see what that looked like. Ended up watching all 7 episodes because it's Inferno. Perfectly balanced. 7 parts. No filler to me. I don't even know how you do an omnibus of Inferno personally, because it's perfectly balanced. 7 parts that are like, it's like juggling, and it never misses a beat. It's just, it's a perfect Doctor Who story. I more want to talk about how much I like the restoration work. Now, not a lot was done to the studio stuff. I think they just tweaked the special edition DVD master a little bit. I didn't really notice anything right off the top of my head. I mean, the special edition restoration has always looked good, especially on the studio work. Sometimes faces look a little too red in places. I especially see this with Sutton a lot, and sometimes other characters as well, that sometimes the faces look a little too red to me. But it's a nitpicky thing. It looks really good. The location work looks much better. What I really noticed right off is the location work doesn't have any of that blurring that I'd noticed before. Sometimes the location work in Inferno had this little blurring to it, where motion just kind of blurred and looked a little weird on occasion. I'm still recovering from my sinus infection. You'll have to bear with me. It was really, really bad. But I didn't notice any of that this time. The fluidity of motion looked really good on the location work. I really appreciate that Peter Crocker went that extra mile here when he didn't have to. I think originally they weren't going to, but he wanted to. Well, I guess when he got to watching it, it's just something he's like, yeah, I'm going to do that. And it does. The location work flows better than I've ever seen it. Like, it looks just normal to me. It doesn't look problematic like it has in the past in places. And then the colors look really good for the most part. The one thing for me that always gives it away for location work when it's not original masters is the sky. The sky always looks weird from these stories that are recovered from other sources. They don't look like the real sky. I know that sounds very vague, but like it looks kind of blue in places, gray in places, sometimes blue and gray in the same shot. Sometimes it has these little multicolored pixels in it. The sky never looks quite right. Some of you may know exactly what I mean. You may be like, you know what, Prowl, I'm there with you. I know you're having trouble articulating it, but I get what you mean. That's one of the big giveaways for me for if I'm watching an episode that's an original master or not an original master. Just at this point, I know which ones are which. But even if I didn't, I would think I would be able to tell. The sky would be a huge giveaway. But other than the sky, everything was looking really, really good. From backgrounds to locations, characters' faces, everything looked really good in the location work. Like I said, the studio work looked about the same. And other than the face tones being off a little bit, again, being too red sometimes, I didn't really have a lot of problems with it. Oh, one thing I really do like in the location work is toward the end when they're on the alternate Earth and everything's kind of going to crap and it's gotten really hot. There's a scene when the alternate brigade leader Liz and Petra are running back toward the hut and the camera's shaking. They're getting thrown to the ground. I really like how well they coordinated that shot. I had to mention that. Because the camera, naturally it's just someone shaking the camera. But the shaking of the camera and them getting knocked over, standing up and getting knocked over again, that worked really well together. I was really impressed with that shot. I love the fact everybody seems to be enjoying playing the alternate versions of themselves, especially the main cast, Nicholas Courtney and Carolyn John, they seem to be really enjoying playing the baddies. Especially Nicholas Courtney. He really does a good job at pointing out how the brigade leader acts like a toughie, but is secretly very selfish and kind of cowardly. The one that panics easy as soon as he's not in control. Nicholas Courtney does a good job at that, even in little ways. Like, there's one time when he's telling him, get a move on. Hurry and get a move on. And he says it in this kind of petulant way, like, hurry and get a move on. Like he's trying to sound tough, but he just sounds like a kind of a whiny baby. And I feel like Nick definitely did that on purpose. He does a really good job of, like, at the beginning, he's playing the brigade leader stern and tough. You'll talk. They always talk. But as soon as everything's going to pot at the end, and the brigadier realizes he has no leg to stand on, or the brigade leader, I should say, the kind of childish toddler in him comes out, the scaredy cat, the one who is very good at punching down and doesn't know what to do when he's the least effective one in the room at that point. I really like the way Nicholas Courtney played that. And then again, I also really like how Carolyn John played the alternate version of Liz, because, like, she's not completely a baddie. There's still that part in her that's very much a product of the world she's been raised in. But I like how you kind of watch her character grow. There's still an innate goodness to her that the world she lives in hasn't completely smashed into the dirt, which I really, really liked. Unlike that world's version of Benton, which, wow. That version of Benton is so different. It's like Benton if you took away the caring. Because one thing I've always loved Benton, because John Levine does such a good job at playing Benton as just this very caring person, this very nice, caring, kind person, despite being a military soldier. I think that's why everybody likes Benton. I never hear anybody talk bad about Benton. Benton is awesome. Everybody loves Benton. Like, I've never heard anyone badmouth Benton. And I like that about the character. But this other version of Benton just seems like Benton if he wasn't so nice. And it's interesting that version of Benton is just so different. And it's nice to see John get to kind of play, uncaring Benton. I don't know. I wonder how much John must have loved playing that version of Benton. I'm really curious. I remember he did mention one time how when he was having to tell the other soldiers what to do, and the other guys, the Havoc men, are far better trained at that than he is. And he felt kind of weird about it. It's pretty funny. Listening to John Levine talk is always very interesting. I've listened to his In Conversation. It's interesting. But yeah, I really enjoyed this version of Inferno. The story's still great. I'm not going to talk about the whole story here. I've reviewed Inferno several times. Most of you know I love Inferno. I think it's well-paced. I don't even know how you do an omnibus version of that. I'll have to watch it at some point. This was more, I just wanted to talk about the restoration work, because I really like it. This is definitely the best Inferno has ever looked. As someone who owns the original DVD release, the special edition DVD release, and now, of course, the box set, it's been interesting watching it progressively get better. And the location work, I really like the fact that it looks better than it ever has. It moves better than it ever has. And it's not quite so jarring when you go from location to studio as well. So it looks really, really good. I really like Inferno. So have you got to see Inferno on the Blu-ray box set yet? If you have, I want to know what you think of it and the restoration done to the location work, because he did it from scratch for the location work for this story. Comment down below and let's talk about it. Don't forget to click the like button and the subscribe button as well. I also have a Patreon if you would like to support me on that. There's a link to that down there as well. I want to give a shout out to some of my top tier patrons, Colin Coney, Sam Venning, and Finn Perkins. I appreciate their support, as I do the support of all of my patrons. It's very much appreciated, as always. I also have a P.O. box if there's anything you'd like to send me to look at and review. A link to my Amazon wishlist is down there. A link to my Amazon UK wishlist is also down there as well. Most importantly, thank you for watching.